Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episode 10 of Amphibia. So yeah, apparently some of you have been waiting for this episode, I guess. We'll see. Last episode, though, was the first one of this series so far that I unequivocally liked. Very much so. That's the stuff I definitely want more of with this series, but unfortunately I feel like most of this show is not going to be like that. I feel like most of this show is still going to be more of the stuff that I'm just very either lukewarm on or stuff I don't like. Because it's really given me no reason to think that this show is headed in a direction that's more akin to what episode 9 gave us. From everything I can tell, it's going to be more like what we've already had, with those kind of episodes being the outliers. And that is very unfortunate, and I might be wrong. I admittedly could be very wrong in that regard. But, again, just based off of what we've got, I don't really have any true hope that it's going to really evolve into anything that different. Like, and again, as I've stated before, I do know about some things as to where this show is going. Just because I had it dropped for so long and just being on social media, I've seen screenshots, I've seen a couple clips here and there, all out of context, mind you. But I do know some points about where it's going in terms of like the overall series. And yeah, again, I don't see it yet. As of now, I just do not see quite the appeal of this that everyone is so excessively hyped about. But again, I might be proven wrong, and I hope I am. As always, I hope I'm proven wrong, like I was with The Owl House and so many other shows. Dragon Maid being a great example of that. I want to be proven wrong. I want to end up being surprised and being shown that, yeah, these shows can get better with time, and do. That's the best possible scenario. But I cannot say with certainty that it's going to happen. Now, I also want to wish everyone a very happy 2022. Because, yeah, today is the first day of the year, at least it should be, as to when I'm getting this up. Obviously, I'm recording this a little bit ahead of time. But yeah, this should be going up on January 1st. So I wanted to wish everyone a happy 2022. And yeah, hope you had a good year despite the circumstances with 2021. And hope that your year to come goes really well. Also hoping the same for myself. Just a lot of anxieties and stuff, as you've noticed with this past week, with me having trouble getting stuff up again. I apologize for all that. But yeah, just a lot of anxieties, a lot of mental health issues. Plus, my father being home all week didn't help either, and just kept me from being able to record with any level of consistency as well. But yeah, we'll be getting back to normal, don't worry. And hopefully just moving forward, I'll be able to put my anxieties at rest at least a little bit. But I have no idea what to expect from this episode. Again, apparently some people were pretty excited about me getting to episode 10 for some reason. As I've said in the past, I don't really consider that like a spoiler, obviously. for you just saying like, oh, I'm excited for you to get to episode 10, or it starts getting better around episode 10, in my opinion. It's like, I don't really consider that a spoiler, but it's kind of on the edge. So I just want to continue to warn people to be careful about saying stuff like that, because you very easily could let something slip, or it could end up just leading to false expectation. Because it's all subjective, it's all opinion, of course, but it could lead me to expect, like the episode, like starting episode 10, it could lead me to expect them to just start getting monumentally better, and then I end up being disappointed, and that could really hurt my overall impression of the series. So I'm just warning you, please, if you can, try not to do that too much. It's just, it can very much lead to the opposite effect of what you're thinking. But all that being said, yeah, with the nature of the show, there's some hints that there's a recurring story being set up, but nothing's really actually happened with it yet. So not really much to talk about in that regard. Although, last time we did have them lose the produce stall. So that's going to affect some things going forward. But we'll see how that progresses from here on out. In the meantime, I am excited to continue forward, just because of how good last episode was. But I'm also holding my breath, and I'm not just going to assume it's going to be great from here on out. So let us get this going and just hope for the best. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So first things first, I looked up the voice actors because I was confused when seeing them in the credits there. Bog, the one Toad from the first half of the episode, was not who I thought it was. It was not Clancy Brown, despite him sounding exactly like Clancy Brown. I don't know if that was the intent, but it was Darren DePaul, who I've heard of some of the stuff he's in, but I wouldn't know him from them because I either haven't played or seen any of the games or other animations or whatever. The only thing I would actually know him from is the PS4 Spider-Man game from 2018, and the Miles Morales spin-off, in which he voices J. Jonah Jameson, who's not even a major character or anything. He's just like on a radio station, basically. So it's like, again, he must have been doing an impression or something, because it's like, it sounded like Clancy Brown. Grimes, who I also said sounded familiar, is Troy Baker. And so it's like, okay. That one is just self-explanatory. It's Troy Baker. And then I also mentioned that Sasha kind of sounded a little familiar, but I couldn't really place it. She's voiced by Anna Akana. And I was looking through her like filmography and everything, and I don't know her from anything. Except apparently she was a writer. And had a cameo role, but I wouldn't know. I wouldn't like really know her for that. But she was a writer in the MCU Ant-Man film, and that's like, oh, okay. That's a thing. She's been in other things I've heard of, but not seen, or things I just wouldn't know her for. She's done a lot of web stuff because apparently she's a YouTuber as well. But again, nothing I would really know. And a couple things I've heard of, but that's it. Also, she does music apparently too. Um, but I wanted to get that out of the way. Just talk about like how the voice cast like kind of surprised me in that regard because I thought I recognized Clancy Brown, and it's like, no, it actually wasn't. Darren DePaul just did a flawless impression, whether intentional or not. Um, that being said, I did talk about in the pre-thoughts how you guys do need to be careful about hyping up episodes for me. Because when you say stuff like that, it's like it's almost never going to live up to expectations. Because when you try to say like, oh, it starts getting better by episode 10, you're giving these expectations to me, and it's like I want you guys to be careful about doing stuff like that because it can make it feel like, oh, I have these expectations for this episode now. So if it doesn't live up to that, I'm gonna just be really disappointed, and it's gonna make me not like the show even more in general than I already do. So I really want to stress that. Please be careful about that stuff. But luckily, I loved this episode. Like, more so than the last. In terms of an overall thing. I still think I liked the Pad Thai episode more. Or Lily Pad Thai, I think it was called. Just in terms of just a single half episode, a single mini-sode. But in terms of a full episode, in terms of like the full 30 minutes, or 20 minutes more around, and just the overall just impact on the series especially, this one was better. And like I said, I loved it. It was damn good. Because this is kind of what I wanted. I wanted this ongoing story to get started. I wanted things to progress and feel better in terms of how it's presented and how it's executed from a writing and character standpoint and all. And this episode definitely did that for me. It raised the stakes greatly. It just really executed this ongoing story really getting started here exceptionally well. And introduced a new character who I knew was coming. Because, again, the intro obviously spoils that. That she's going to be in here. Plus, again, as I said before, I have seen stuff from the future, so I knew about Sasha. But I didn't know what her character was going to be like, and she might be in the running for being my favorite character. She's giving Polly a little bit of competition here. Because just right off the bat, I really like her character. But I'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about these in order. So the first half of the episode, I don't remember the names of either of these, but the first half is focused around building up the world by introducing this concept of a tower. This place deep in the woods off of the town where these toads live, and they collect taxes from the citizens of the village, and as we find out in the second half of the episode, surrounding villages and stuff as well. And one day the mayor decides to just not send the taxes. He decides to keep them for himself, like a greedy asshole. And so the toads come in to collect from the different frogs in the town. But they did pay their taxes, so you can see the issue. Anne joins them at first because she wants to get respect from them. Just yearning for it in general. And she ends up kind of be an accessory to some pretty horrible stuff. Though she does do her best to gain the respect of the villagers by helping them out behind the Toad's back. And so by the end, when Anne has to choose between her found family, basically, of the planters and the Toads who she's been working to gain the respect of, she chooses the planters, and the entire village comes to her side. They end up revealing the truth behind the mayor stealing the taxes. He's taken away, I guess, or chased out of town at least. So who knows what's going to happen in that regard. Are they just mayorless now? But the Toads, since they got their taxes, they just head out. It definitely did well to expand upon things in this world and to, again, introduce stakes. Because with both halves of this episode, the Toads and the tower are clearly being built up in a really strong way. So the second half kind of continues from that, where now we get to go to the tower and see it from that perspective. We see that most of the Toads there are kind of not doing too well in terms of their ability or motivation. So the captain, Grime, is kind of at his wit's end. Fortunately for him, he has a human prisoner named Sasha. And Sasha, we find out, is a friend of Anne and this other girl in the opening and the photo as well. And that while being held prisoner, her only goal is to get out of there and reunite with her friends and basically figure out what's going on. But in the meantime, she's been kind of making friends with all the Toads in the tower and just getting to know them and being nice to them. And it's forging some really fun little relationships that lead to some great moments, such as with Percy and Braddock. Both of them have a notable moment with Sasha, and it's really cute and fun. But we see some herons come close to the tower, at which point Percy, who had quit due to Sasha's influence, goes out there, causes a bit of noise, and gets their attention, and so the herons attack. And like I said in the reaction, this show is making very strong effort to make birds terrifying. Between the love doves or whatever they are called and now these herons, it's like I get it. I get the joke with the characters being, frogs and toads and all. But at the same time, it's like, geez, they're really going ham on it. And you know what? I can kind of appreciate that. I can kind of respect that they're just saying, we're gonna make these birds, these vicious, horrible, scary creatures, let's just go all out. And I respect that. But so while the herons are attacking, Grime ends up getting help from Sasha to just kind of reinvigorate the rest of the Toads in the tower. She helps him realize that positive reinforcement is actually a good thing, which it is. It very much is in real life too. And so with her help, they're able to encourage all the Toads, and they end up fighting and defeating the herons. Though it's mostly Grime and Sasha who defeat them. The others did technically help. So by the end, he even admits that she's pretty skillful and that he probably can't even stop her, because apparently her cheerleading skills, give her the ability to do all this awesome badass shit, which, as I said in the reaction, valid. A lot of people do not realize how much work, effort, and just physicality goes into cheerleading. A lot of people underestimate it or call it this just stupid little girly thing, but there's a lot that goes into it. It takes a lot of legitimate muscle work to do that, because think about it, because you're lifting up people, you're doing these flips and tricks and stuff. It's like it takes work. A lot of cheerleaders are a lot more fit than you might realize. I've had friends who were cheerleaders, so I know this from their experiences. Um, Plus, I just like to learn this kind of stuff anyways, just to show respect towards people and learn about different kinds of things out there and what they require. Pole dancing also requires a shit ton of physicality. Fun fact. Either way, either way. Um, so he says, "Look, you can leave. I can't stop you. You can go, or you could stay here. Help help me whip these toads back into shape, fix up the tower and all, and then we'll go basically assert our dominance, and you can find your friends then." And she's like, "Yeah, okay, works for me." And it's like, this is what I want to see more of. This is the kind of shit I want to see more of. Not just Sasha as a character, even though she's fantastic so far. Um, this kind of stuff that not only progresses the the ongoing narrative that they're starting to build, but stuff that actually seems to matter. Not these just little random bullshit little stories that don't have any relevance or try to focus too much on the comedy aspect and nothing else and just end up not working because of it. Those kind of stories just haven't been doing it for me with this series. This is the kind of thing I want. I want the stuff that takes itself seriously and actually puts forth the work to make a good narrative. As I said in the pre-thoughts, I'm still kind of on the fence thinking, like, it's probably not going to be all like this going forward. There's like 20 episodes this season, and it's like, I doubt that the next 10 episodes, the second half of this season's all going to be like this. In fact, I can pretty much say without question that it's not. But this episode, and last episode even, have definitely, like, brought forth an interest in this for me, more so than I had before. And without question, I am definitely much more excited to continue watching now. I would not say I'm completely turned around on this series. I'm still not the biggest fan of Anne. I think she's just not that great of a character, especially as the lead right now. But with the kind of stuff we're starting to get, I'm definitely starting to see a little bit more of what people are hyped about. But we've still got a ways to go before I could really say I'm a fan of this series or anything. Because this is just 2 episodes out of 10. So, yeah. It's not perfect like that. We gotta continue to see how it progresses before anything for any level of certainty can really be said. But again, I very much did love this episode. So you have that at least. Use that as your serotonin boost to get you through the start of 2022. In the meantime, thank you so much for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.